We're here at Union Station in Washington, D.C., about to start a march to the Democratic National Committee on the day before Election Day to send them a message that they have lost the climate vote, that the policies that they've been putting forward, the all-of-the-above energy strategy, fracked gas, increased nuclear, offshore oil, tar sands in Utah, and pipelines everywhere, and oil trains everywhere, that this is an infrastructure that's not consistent with really being concerned about climate change.
Democratic Party. We need a party that actually puts people above profit, that puts our children's future above the fossil fuel industry. And so we're heading over there today, the day before the election, the day before the midterms, to send the message that if the Democratic Party continues to put the interests of the fossil fuel industry ahead of the interests of our communities and our citizens, then we will stand in their way. And if they nominate a fracking champion like Hillary Clinton, we will stand in their way. We will stand in the way of her. Tim Christopher, and we're just about ready to march over to the DNC, the Democratic National Committee headquarters, and express our frustration with their energy policy of all of the above, which means disaster for a lot of the communities that are directly impacted by fracking and a lot of other destructive resources.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. It's the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. It's the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. It's the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Solar and wind instead.
Pick Dominion out of bed.
Pick Dominion out of bed.
We want solar and wind instead.
We want solar and wind instead.
Fracking gas.
How far am I going? How far? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just 1, 2, 3, and then you start.
Democrats, we don't want your fracking gas.
Why?
We are the people.
We don't want your fracking gas. Democracy, not government run by industry.
We want democracy,
Not government owned by industry. Democrats, we don't want your fracking gas. Hey there, Democrats, we don't want your fracking gas. Hey there, Democrats, we don't want your fracking gas. Hey there, Democrats, we don't want your fracking gas. Hey there, Democrats, we don't want your fracking gas.
That way. That way. That way. That way.
we don't want your fracking gas. Hey there, Democrats. We don't want your fracking gas. We don't want your fracking gas. We don't want your fracking gas.
Where are you guys from? Cambridge. Here you go. That's what we're all about. Share this with the rest of you. We want to keep share them around. We're against fracking. Yeah. You know, it's about climate justice. It's all about. I'll give you my elevator speech. You want my elevator speech? Yep. Yeah. Raise your hand if you know what the number 350 is all about. Anybody here know what 350 is about? 350 is the number of parts per million of carbon in the atmosphere we need to get back to in order to be relatively safe from the effects of global warming. We're over 400 right now, and we're headed up. And as we head up, glaciers are melting, the seas are rising, more extreme weather, more extreme energy is required. We don't need the extreme energy. We need to keep the fossil fuels in the ground. The more fossil fuels we put in the air,
We want solar and wind instead. Yeah. We want solar and wind instead. We want solar and wind instead.
Pick Dominion out of bed.
We want solar and wind instead.
Hey, Democrats, stop your hacking.
Owned
by industry. We want democracy, not government owned by industry.
At the Democratic National Headquarters on the day before the election, because the Democrats are not acting on the climate crisis. They are more and more being corrupted by the oil and gas industry. We see this at the state level. We see this at the federal level. They're selling out our health. They're selling out our planet, our children's future for money from big oil and big gas. And we're here today to tell them that they're not going to continue to get away with that. That is all of the above energy policy adopted by the Democrats is killing families. And today we have some people who have either experienced this directly or who have marched across the country and met these families and brought their stories. So I would like to invite anybody who would like to come up and share either their personal experience or the story that they brought with them across the country. Either Jeanette from Washington State. Thank you.
Well, we are fighting the fracking in the oil cars that come into our area. That's our big concern, is that all these coal trains and oil trains come into our area, and in fact they don't have covers on them. The coal actually pollutes the areas it travels through, and they're going to the ports, they're going to places along the Pacific Ocean. So we have been doing that a lot lately.
There's a lot of Pennsylvanians that are interested in what we're doing here this week, but they're sort of preoccupied. They've got a gubernatorial race where we don't really have a choice at all. We have a Democratic candidate who's supposed to win this thing, who's taking money from the coal industry, or gas industry. We've got a Republican governor that's proven that he's in bed with the gas industry, and we've got a long legacy of exploitation. We've got coal. The first place that commercial oil well was drilled, it's 30 miles from my home.
30 miles from your home.
Now, Maggie Henry, many of you have already met. She spent the night at St. Stephen's. Maggie Henry's an organic farmer in Lawrence County, which is in the western part of the state. She's an organic farmer. Maggie Henry is surrounded by a well, a processing plant, pipelines, and natural gas power plant is going in near her. She had to give up her business because the ground around her is contaminated with all the gas that comes down and it just settles on it. So she is no longer an organic farmer. She's a very angry farmer.
If they continue to sell out our interests, our future, our health, we're going to call them out for it. Yeah. And we're going to go wherever they go. And we're going to hound them about it. Because they can no longer take a climate movement for granted.
Yes.
Right.
Right. Yes. That's right. That's right.
Mexico to the Ohio-Pennsylvania border, and I would have liked to have walked 2,000 miles from New Mexico to D.C., but when I reached the Ohio-Pennsylvania border, I realized I had to go home. And I went home early because the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which we shut down today for a part of the day, they approved the methane storage project parts of the Seneca Lake gas storage facility. And the company that is running that facility is from Texas. And they want to store methane and liquefied petroleum gas in the salt caverns beneath the western shore of Seneca Lake, which are not designed for that type of storage. Yes, and they're very unstable, and it puts the Finger Lake community at risk. So I went home, and I'm one of the main organizers for the resistance there now, and I'd love to see some of you show up later. One story that I'll never forget and will always be in my heart is when we traveled to southeast Chicago after having a very successful rally in Chicago, and when we got down to southeast Chicago into a low-income minority community, we came across a community that was being affected by petroleum coke storage facilities. And to call them storage facilities is honestly giving them too much credit, because they were stored out in open air. And so every time the wind blew, the pet coke dust would be blown either into the river or into the community. And so the Little League games in this community were regularly canceled because the children couldn't breathe. And they have higher than normal rates of asthma there, and nothing is being done. Absolutely nothing. Okay. And when we went through that community, I was silent at the time. I was taking on a vow of silence to honor those who have no voice in this movement. And I had to, there was so much emotions I felt in that time. I could just see the pain in these people's eyes and all that they had been through, and it broke my heart. And that pain welled up inside of me, and there was nothing I couldn't express it because I was silent. But that's exactly what they're going through, is they're being silenced. They don't have the money to pay people to represent what they want them to represent, and they don't have the social standing to speak out and really be paid attention to. So they were in effect silenced, and I experienced that with them, and they will always be in my heart, and I have them with me, and I think about them in every action that I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
My march across country. Thank you very much for climate action. I love you. I remember when we were in Southeast Chicago, we went to go speak to a man who lived next to the pet coke piles. We later took a bunch of pet coke to share with all of our friends what it looks like. But this man had an American flag standing behind him as he told us about the sickness in his family. Cancer, asthma, brain issues, all sorts of problems. And this flag was blackened. The black stars of the US of A blackened by pet coke. Whoa. It was a beautiful image. It's disgusting how, it's just disgusting. Anyways, another thing that really drove me nuts on this march, it's crazy how the little things really drive me nuts, but we had the mayor of Gary, Indiana come visit us one morning. She visited us about 6 o'clock in the morning. It was pouring out. Her and her husband came inside the building to come say hello, meet with our mayor, and they left their car running. And that drove me crazy. So I went in, I turned her car off, and I left a note saying thank you for your support, but we need to turn off fossil fuels. Yeah. It is absurd how can we expect them to take care of us and our air and our land and our water if they can't turn their car off for 2 seconds? Drives me crazy. Thank you, everybody.
Hey there! Democrats in bed with Texaco, Exxon, Chevron, BP, the FERC. We have Hillary Clinton, who went to Romania to defend Chevron's interest against the community that was trying to stop them from fracking their land. We have next to her Governor Martin O'Malley, who has settled on Cove Point.
Fell asleep in the hearing.
Liquefied gas that's going to be exported out of Maryland, and also trying to build the nation's largest trash incinerator a mile from a high school that has terrible air quality.
They are trash.
Next to him we have Andrew Cuomo, who has received funding from Coke Industries. And has been slowing down fracking, but we know that he's friends with the frackers. He's only slowed down because of the powerful movement in New York. And we brought a pillow for him to make him more comfortable in bed with Coke Industries. Next to him, we have Jerry Brown, another friend of fracking in California. And on the end,
Mary Landrieu.
Mary Landrieu from Louisiana, who is the number 3 person in the entire Congress who's received the most money from oil and gas. Number 3 out of 535.
She's polluted.
Republicans. Now, who gave us the EPA?
Richard Nixon.
Yeah, who gave us OSHA?
Nixon.
Who gave us the Clean Water Act?
Nixon.
What an irony.
Who's a better friend of the environment?
Richard Nixon, Republicans.
And who gave us Vietnam, the
He did
Democrats?
that because the people made him do it.
Yeah, so we have the National Policy Director, Political Director, Raul Oliveira, is that right? Oliver?
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for coming. We have a letter here on behalf of this whole movement. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I'm just going to read the first paragraph of it. The actions taken by the Democratic Party to address the climate crisis have not only been inadequate, they have been counterproductive. We are writing to let you know that Democratic Party candidates should not count on the support of Americans who recognize the urgent need to put in place effective solutions to the climate crisis. The Democratic Party's support for the dirty energy industry's all of the above energy strategy, mislabeling fracked gas and nuclear energy as bridges to a clean energy economy, and the increased export of dirty fuels have directly caused greater greenhouse gas emissions, as well as harm to public health, the environment, and the economy. The extreme extraction of fossil and nuclear fuels through unconventional methods, such as hydrofracking and mountaintop removal, have been and continue to be responsible for the contamination of the air, land, and water, and significant suffering, disease, and death. The transport of these substances by pipeline and train have caused further damage and leave communities at risk for catastrophic events such as major pipeline spills and oil train explosions. And we've been sending this message to you for a while. You've gotten this message in town halls, you've gotten this message in petitions, you've gotten this message in marches before. And yet still you've put the interests of the fossil fuel industry above the interests of our communities, of our children, of our climate. And so we've tried two main strategies over the past few decades. We've tried voting for the lesser of two evils, which Democrats have certainly benefited from, and we've tried not voting, which a lot of people my age do, because they don't see a real alternative to the Republican Party. So we're here to let you know that we're going to try something else. We're going to try getting in your way. And if you put people like Hillary Clinton that are fracking champions on the ballot, we will get in your way. Yes. And you can no longer count.
Yes, get the message, 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 get the message.
We're here to tell you, you can't take us for granted anymore. You have to choose. You have to choose between the profits of the fossil fuel industry and our communities. You have to let us know which side you're on, and please take that message to the rest of the Democratic Party. We're here the day before Election Day to make it clear that we will stand in your way if you continue to choose the side of the fossil fuel industry over our lives and our future.
Yes.
These people, we are all serious about this. We just had the most recent report from the UN. The time is now. You are really putting, and I'm saying when I say you, the Democratic Party is complicit in putting the climate at risk, our communities at risk.
And the future of the planet.
And we are serious about this. Now, we know the reason why you're doing this because too many Democrats are in bed with the industry, the oil and gas industry and the nuclear industry. So we want to present to you these pillows that are designed for some of your worst climate criminals. The chairman of the Energy Committee, Mary Landrieu. This is for you to pass on to your leading candidate, Hillary Clinton, the fracker-in-chief.
We don't know if she's going to be here.
Your leading candidate, John Hickenlooper, who's ignored votes in Colorado that want fracking out of their community. He's ignored them. He's overturned them and forced, fracking when they say no fracking. That one's for you. We have one more, I think, don't we? Or is that it? Here's the last one.
Thank you for taking them. Thank you.
And we have Andrew Cuomo. Boy, he's been a headache, hasn't he, for your party? What's going on in New York? His administration is forcing the editing of documents to try to hide the damage caused by fracking. He's quietly pushing forward fracking while saying there's a moratorium. Fracking is unacceptable. We do not want any more oil, gas infrastructure. It's time to stop building infrastructure for oil and gas. We have to keep that oil and gas in the ground if we're going to save the planet. So I hope, as the national political director, you've gotten the message. You've lost the support of the climate community.
Excuse me, pardon, thank you very much.
Pass it on to the, please pass these on to them and let the party leadership know But they have to change their path if they want to get our support.
Thank you for coming out.
And you know, I know this is an important issue for many, not just for you all, but also folks within the Democratic Party as well. And you know, I have your letter here, and I'll make sure we get it to the folks that we need to get it to. And don't forget, even though you know we might not be all aligned in the same thoughts, and you know the party has a big tent, but make sure you do go vote tomorrow for folks.
We want somebody
Not
to
for
vote
Democrats.
for.
Not for polluting Democrats. Not for polluting
We're not just going to vote for Democrats. Send that message, Tom Wolf.
Thanks for coming out.
We don't want words, we want change.
We want infrastructure for a clean climate.
Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?